when you look at it, the building has collapsed. That tower just came down. It's not accidental. The first tower just happened to collapse, and the second tower just happened to collapse in exactly the same way. How they accomplished this, we don't know.
And outside, we made about a property. We made it at least 2 months, and we saw it all went caught, but I'm popping out. We saw it was it. That's it. And it take our building. All the way down. I was watching it ran up. And then you sort of this cloud team came out. Ran across the street. I'm running. I jumped over the Italian car. I took the car and we I think ever covering outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th. Malicious lies and attempted to shift the blame away from the terrorists themselves, away from the guilty.
On September 11, 2001, it was one of the casualties of the terrorist attacks on that horrific day. Building 7's sudden and shocking collapse has been overshadowed by the fate of the Twin Towers. But from an engineering standpoint, it is the greater mystery.
We were surprised that Tower 7 collapsed. We being the team that investigated what occurred on that day. There was some damage to Tower 7 caused by the debris that hit Tower 1. But the damage was certainly not similar in scope or magnitude to that caused by the aircraft hitting Towers 1 and 2.
The only positive aspect of this building's demise is that it fell 7 hours after the 2 main towers. Everyone had been evacuated, and even though the 47-story building collapsed in on itself in under 10 seconds, no one was killed.
World Trade Center 7 was completed in 1987. It had approximately 1.8 million square feet, 47 stories, and roughly 600 feet tall. Each of the floors was approximately 40,000 square feet, which is roughly the size of a football field and equal to the size of the floor plate of the towers.
The building was a good building, soundly designed. It would still be standing if not for 9/11, and it was state-of-the-art at the time. Absolutely.
I lost my husband.
I saw it, my uncle. My nephew, September 11, 2001.
Most people don't know what third tower fell down.
The government says fire brought it down.
The collapse of World Trade Center 7 was primarily due to fires. I, along with 1,400 other architects and engineers, found the government's conclusions physically impossible. We need the truth about what happened that day.
Go to rememberbuilding7.org.
Why it fell, why it matters, and what you
Do
feel.
you believe in a conspiracy in terms of the attack of 9/11?
No, but I do believe that it is the first time in history that fire has ever melted steel. I do believe that it defies physics for the World Trade Center Tower 7, Building 7, which collapsed in on itself. It is impossible for a building to fall the way it fell without explosives being involved. World Trade Center 7. World Trade 1 and 2 got hit by planes. 7, miraculously, the first time in history, steel was melted by fire. It is physically impossible.
And who do you think is responsible for that?
I have no idea, but to say that we don't know that it imploded exploded and it wasn't enclosed in the demolition is beyond ignorant. Look at the films, get a physics expert here from Yale, from Harvard, pick his pool. It defies reason. I would do it. It is the unthinkable. But imagine if somebody could convince you of that and could prove it to you, Elizabeth, just 7.
Did you know that a third tower fell on 9/11? At approximately 5:20 p.m. on September 11, 2001, World Trade Center Building 7 collapsed in 6.5 seconds from normal office fires, according to the government's final report.
World Trade Center 7 collapsed because of fires used by office furniture. It did not collapse from explosives or from fuel oil fires.
Later, the government finally admitted that Building 7 collapsed at the rate of free fall after trying to deny it. So, what's wrong with a building in free fall? What is free fall?
Just like sitting in a car seat and dropping them. That's how fast the building began to move from over 100 feet. This is high school physics.
A building cannot do free fall with 40,000 tons of structural steel in its structural system without it being blown up.
The only way that a building can accelerate as it collapses is by having pre-engineered, precisely timed, and precisely placed explosives. In other words, controlled demolition.
So the big hubbub going on around Building 7, walked around it, saw a hole. I didn't see the hole bad enough to knock the building down though. So, yeah, there's definitely fire in the building, but I didn't hear any, maybe this is movie crap, I didn't hear any creaking or I didn't hear any indication that it was going to come down. And all of a sudden, the radios exploded and everybody started screaming, get away, get away, get away from it. And I was like a deer in the headlights, and I look up, and I think I remember pretty clearly two guys that I knew were on the transit radio. I don't know if those tapes are out there, but I can try to look for them and show you exactly what I'm talking about. But it was that moment, get away, up. It was nothing I would ever imagine seeing in my life. The thing started peeling in on itself. I mean, there was an umbrella of crap 7 feet over my head that I just stared at. Somebody grabbed my shoulder and I started running. And the shit's hitting the ground behind me. And the whole time you hear, boom. So, I think I know an explosion when I hear it. I was real close to Building 7 when it fell down. And running away from that sucked. It's one of the things I live with all the time. And I don't know, but that didn't sound like just a building falling down to me while I was running away from it. There's a lot of eyewitness testimony down there here at explosions. I didn't see any reason for that building to fall down the way it did. And a lot of guys should be saying the same thing. Red Cross rep was like, he goes over when he says, well, you got to stay behind this line because they're thinking about bringing the building down. They didn't say what building, they just said bringing a building down.
All I can attest to is that by noon or 1 o'clock, they told us we had to move from that triage site up to Pace University, a little further away, because Building 7 was going to come down or be brought down. Did they actually use the word brought down, and who was it that was telling you? It was in the fire department. And they did use the word, we're going to have to bring it down.
Right, guys?
So we're like, okay, we'll take their word for it, we'll stay behind the line. And he went over and he talked to one of the, through the commotion, he goes over and he asked one of the Red Cross, or one of the firefighters, what was going on. I guess, I don't know if he got an answer or not. He came back over with his hand over the radio, and it sounded like a countdown. And at the last few seconds, he took his hand off, and you heard 3, 2, 1.
just run for your life. And then it was like another 2 to 3 seconds. You heard explosions. Like, boom! And it's like a distinct sound. It's not like when it's depression, like boom, 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 boom. Like floors that were dropping and collapsing. This was boom! And like you felt a rumble in the ground, like almost like you wanted to grab onto something. To me, I knew that was an explosion. There was no doubt in my mind.
Just in the last few seconds, another building number 7, one of the buildings in support of the World Trade Center towers has collapsed. This is no small building, as you can see, at 47 stories. It would stand out in most American cities. Call from the fire department commander. Tell me that they were not sure that the people could contain the fire. We had such terrible loss of life. This was Joseph Power. They made that decision to pull right here. Collapse. People walking the building actually go to the top fire. The top floors of the building were on fire, and we heard this sound that sounded like a clap of thunder. Turned around, we were shocked to see that the building was looked like there was a shockwave ripping through the building, and the windows all busted out. It was horrifying. Then, about a second later, the bottom floor came out, and the building followed after that, and we saw the building crash down all the way to the ground. We were in shock, and then
High-rise buildings simply do not collapse due to fire. There has never been until 9/11 an experience where a high-rise building that was steel framed completely collapsed. There have been fires burned longer in similar structures without any collapse.
In this test, done by British Steel in 1995, a large amount of typical office furniture was burned to see what would happen to the heavy steel beams that supported the ceiling. It's not that it melts in a fire. In fact, normal fires are not hot enough to melt steel. Even if you were, for example, to use an unusual fuel like kerosene, you cannot achieve temperatures hot enough to melt steel. But what happens is it starts to lose its strength. And as it loses its strength, it starts to sag. This was the largest test of its kind ever conducted. It showed how unprotected steel can be distorted even by a normal office fire. But as is typical in steel buildings, the structural beams only slowly and progressively warped and sagged. There was no chance of a sudden collapse.
In my previous career as a firefighter, normally you'd never be afraid to go into a Type 1 building because they're not combustible. Just charge at it, put the fire out. Never, in my training, were we ever taught that these type of buildings can just collapse in on themselves. There's definitely much more going on than just fire.
The World Trade Center 7 building reminds me of the Meridian Bank building in some ways in Philadelphia. The Meridian Bank building is a 38-story skyscraper that burned for 18 hours in 1991, suffered extensive damage from the fire, but did not collapse.
This tells us that this collapse mechanism, starting with thermal expansion, that worked its way upward and outward through the building, in a matter of seconds, there's not enough time for the building to collapse the way that this tells us it collapsed.
This claims the fires were very large, very hot, and long-lasting, when in reality, observation, which has been researched by many people, shows these fires did not last very long. They were not the locations where this claims they were at given times.
I'm a fellow of the American Institute of Architects. For the 40-plus years that I've been practicing architecture, I've designed a variety of buildings from small houses to high-rise office buildings. Some of the high-rises that I've worked on are 1-shell and 2-shell here in Houston. I was project manager for a 22-story office building in Akron, Ohio. Later in the day, when the World Trade Center 7 collapsed, they had already showed us pictures of a few fires in that building, and I mean, they weren't even raging. And how could that cause a building to collapse as if it were imploding? It couldn't happen.
New York City, 2001. No tall building had ever collapsed primarily due to fire. But that's exactly what investigators believe happened to the 47-story World Trade Center Building 7 on September 11th. According to a 3-year comprehensive building and fire safety investigation just completed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST.
World Trade Center 7 collapsed because of fires. We didn't have a new kind of progressive collapse that we discovered. It was a 5-year progressive collapse. In fact, they've shown for the first time that fire can induce a progressive collapse.
NIST used detailed data describing the building and its contents to create the most complex computer simulation of a structure collapse ever made. Falling debris from Tower 1 started fires on 10 floors in Building 7. A break in a city water main from the collapse of the towers disabled sprinklers in the lower half of WGC 7, allowing fires on those floors to burn for 7 hours. The NIST computer model was validated with evidence from videos, photos, witness accounts, and other data. It shows that heat from fires expanded long support beams, causing connections and floors to fail.
So you look at the floors failing here, and eventually this column 79 is going to buckle, it fails, and then the entire vertical progression takes place. If the buildings had come down by fire, we would have seen a more natural progression of collapse. Clearly, a more asymmetrical pattern should have been present.
The symmetry is the smoking gun. It cannot happen that when you have asymmetric damage, you will get a perfectly symmetrical collapse.
These air columns on the outside as well as on the inside, at the bottom of them, separate almost at the same time.
The buckled column caused additional collapsed floors and falling debris that removed support from adjacent interior columns. A chain reaction then caused other interior columns to fail in quick succession. The outside shell of the building fell.
I worked for Controlled Demolition Incorporated, CDI, the top-rated explosives demolition firm in the world. As an explosives loader, my job was to place explosives in the buildings to prepare them for demolition. I was licensed while in New York by the New York Fire Department to handle explosives. And I worked on major projects such as Seattle Kingdom, Three River Stadium, Philadelphia Naval Hospital, and East Van gas holders in New York. What I saw, it was a classic implosion. The center of the core, the penthouse area, starts to move first, and the building follows along